things about trading Forex is that you don't actually know exactly which trade is going to be a crazy winner or just another loss.
What's up, everybody? We are currently live.
We'll take away the weekly.
Trace back down to what we've got against that price is going to be bullish.
Point sort of chasing the market. I was more than happy to stay flat.
Hello everyone.
With the kangaroo toe.
Always recommend trading on the 5 minute.
Some of these exotic pairs in pretty steady uptrend, making these higher highs and higher.
Mostly trend following the stimulus in a certain way.
Hello, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Niamh Forex, and I have been away from the channel for quite a while now, but I'm very glad to be back. So thank you very much for tuning in. So yeah, I just can't wait to obviously show you guys what I've been up to, especially with me being away for so long. It's good to sort of catch up with everybody as well. So yeah, I'll give it a few more minutes just whilst everyone comes through. I've only just been back to the desk within the past week or so, and then I've just had another a few personal things going on in the background as well, so that's why I've been off the charts for a bit. But yeah, it's good to be back. Some people saying that they're glad to see me back. Thank you, you too. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, because I've only been obviously back in the market within about a week or so, there's not much for me to go through, but what I can do is I can share what I've been going through today, because I have actually been trading today, which is good. So I've actually got something to talk about. Okay, bear me a minute. I'm just going to share my screen just so you can see what I've been up to. Okay, so I've had quite a large watch list today as well, so I'll run through that with you too. So it's live market conditions at the moment. It's 1 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. BST. So obviously, with me being based in the UK, it is 6 o'clock in the afternoon for me, so it is sort of tea time for us. So obviously, as you can see, the market's had its day. Currently within, probably getting ready for Asian range within a few hours or so. So Eurogbp, this is one that's been on my watch list today as well. I haven't actually traded Eurogbp, but it has been a good opportunity, and I've seen a lot of people within the EISFX community sort of get involved with this trade. Before I discuss any further, I just want to go through the technical changes that I've made to my trading recently, and the reason behind that is just because I want to be able to perfect the D1. So it's just another strategy that we use within ASFX. So I'll be quite excited to share that with you as well. So as you can see, I've got a lot more moving averages, and the 8 and the 21 EMA that I use is still in there, which are these two colours here. So yellow being the 8 and the red being the 21. So I still use those just like I did previously. So they're like the bread and butter for A1 trades as well. But adding the 50 EMA, which is the turquoise line, the white being the 200 EMA and the 800 being the 800 EMA. All of these averages represent a set number of candles. So obviously on the 15-minute, the blue line will represent 800 candles, 200 candles for the white, and so on. So that's how that works. So that is probably the biggest change that I've made. Other than that, obviously bringing in a new system that you guys haven't seen yet, because it isn't something that I was trading when I first started live streaming initially, because I was a lot more confident with the A1 and it comes a lot more natural to me. So I just thought I'd knuckle down on the D1, which has been in my sort of pipeline and calendar throughout the year, just to get another system behind me, just so that I've got a lot more options to trade with. So what I'll do is as well, I'll just show you guys what I had on my watch list. So I had quite a few. So it was quite a lot for me to watch today. And usually I don't like watching a lot of pairs because I don't feel like my attention's on each individual pair as much as it should be when I've got a lot to watch. So I like to be careful. And if I can do, I'll eliminate any setups that I think wouldn't have any potential for me throughout the rest of the day. So we had Eurogbp, Euro NZD, Euro AUD, GBP JPY, NZD USD, NZD CAD, and UJ. So these are the pairs that I've been watching. So there's only 7 pairs. So, I mean, it isn't too bad. But I wouldn't go more than 7 because with all of the moving averages and using 2 different systems now, it's a lot to sort of catch up. And especially if I'm wanting to take some scalping opportunities on the 1 minute, I want to be able to focus on those setups a lot more for me to be a lot more involved. And also with it being 1 minute entries, you don't want to be missing those within 2 minutes of looking at another chart. That does seem irrelevant as well. So I'll explain a little bit of change to my current view as well. So as you can see, I've got 2 different panels. So I've got the 15-minute time frame and I've also got the 1 minute. So the reason why I've got this set up now is because with the D1 entries within the ASFX system, you'd always trade it on the 1 minute. So you are obviously looking to come out in and be in and out of these trades because they are sort of quite fast paced and quick moving, which is good, especially if you're within a full-time job and you're able to sit at the desk. You're able to come in and out of trades, which means that you're not waiting around, and you can sort of get on with your day and close 2 to 3R within a matter of an hour or so. I've had returns within half an hour, even 15 minutes, depending on the move. So yeah, I mean, it's been successful so far, and I'll be able to share with you exactly what I've been watching. So I'll start with Eurogbp, obviously with it being top of the list. With a downshift, you'd be wanting these EMAs sort of in chronological order, in a sense. So the chronological order would be 8, 21, 50, 200, and 800. So obviously, the higher the value of the moving average, the larger it'll get. So obviously, with it being a downshift, you'd want the 800 EMA being on top, and so on. So as you can see, the 8 and the 21 are still here. So it's still what I use, and this is still pretty much identical to what I'd be doing anyway, despite these new EMAs. But I want to discuss the reasons why and how important they are when entering a D1 trade. So I'll go into that as well. Okay, someone asked about 1R is 1%. It can do, depending on the setup. So with C setups, which I traded today, I only risked 0.5%. So with B setups, I'd trade 1%, and then A setups, it'd be 1.5 to 2%, depending on the setup and the pair as well. So I usually decide with A setups whether it's worth risking 2% or being a little bit more cautious as well. So yeah, 1R can be 1%, but it depends on the setup that I choose. But I'll go through that with you in a moment as well. Okay, so with this, as you can see, on the 15-minute time frame, there isn't a strong entry signal off the 21 EMA other than this large overextended candle. So the C setup D1 here is what I could see on the 1 minute. So if we go to the 1 minute time frame on here, I just want to show you my sort of thought process behind this and the reasons why I wasn't involved. So for a D1 entry, you'd want divergence within your favour, either on the 15-minute or the 1 minute, just to sort of contribute to the, just to add confluence, especially when you're wanting to trade a short. You want the bearish divergence as a reason to go short as well. So obviously you can see the bearish divergence here has appeared just as the Asian session broke, and it was within that region of waiting for the London session to open. And another thing that's quite important with the D1 is looking for a test of the 800 EMA, which is around here. And also what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to mark this as we go along, just so that you can understand my thought process and how I go about markups. So that's the reason why you'll see a lot of things that aren't noted at the moment. So this has tested the 800 EMA. So it's sort of like a pullback in a sense, just along with the bearish divergence as well. You can see that's coming lower. But just going off the ASFX rules there, it's key for that to come lower off the 800 EMA for that to be a valid D1. So with this entry, I mean, the reason why I didn't take this as well as a D1 was just because I didn't like the fact that it's moved initially. So as you can see, it's tested the 800 and it's come lower, and it's just broken out of the Asian session here. So it's quite common for price to sort of pull back. As you could see, price did pull back, but only to the 50 EMA. So when you're trading a D1, you wanting to trade off the 50 EMA. So it's got, with the 1 minute, the 8 and the 21 can be a little bit of a sort of spaghetti junction. So it can be a little bit, it can't be as clear as the 50 EMA because it's more of a significant level when you're talking about price, and with it being an average of 50 candles rather than just the 8 and the 21. With it being the 1 minute, you want something that provides a little bit more sort of added confluence there as well. So with this coming lower, and price did break the 50 EMA, even the entry candle, the entry candles here, they did push off the 50 EMA, which is good. And you're not always looking for a perfect entry with the 1 minute because it moves quite volatile, especially at times when it's coming into a downshift like it did here. So, for example, if you were to enter this and you were 5 minutes late, it'd probably be too late to enter off the 8 EMA. However, just around this region should be absolutely fine. So as long as you're within a sensible sort of length from the break of the 50 EMA, you should be fine. But I mean, obviously that can be a case of personal judgment and perspective. So that's absolutely fine if you want to trade it here, because obviously it did come lower, but obviously you can't guarantee that will happen every time, and you might lose a little bit of risk reward there. But obviously, as you can see, price did come a lot lower, and it was only for a short period of time, just reflecting that on the 15 minute where it did come higher, and then there was just this awful pin that just spiked back up and just sort of retested the 21 EMA on the 15 minute. However, there was a second entry that people were involved with on the ASFX system, so I will go through that as well. So with the D1, this is the sort of entry that you'd be looking for. As you can see, there's a lot more risk reward with the D1 because it's on the 1 minute. You can have much shorter stop losses, which is good, so you can take advantage of higher risk reward. So as you can see, this went 4.5R. So, I mean, obviously, if you didn't take any profits at all, that would be 4.5% if that was a B setup. But the reason why I'd sized down on this, and the reason why I would mark this as a C setup, regardless of how well it ran, is because it did only just break out of the Asian range here. So there wasn't sort of a strong candle at that point when it broke out. So it's literally just tested the waters and come higher. It could have literally been a case of rebounding off this region and coming much higher if there was bullish divergence involved as well. But as you can see, it did come lower, which is good. And with probability, obviously, you can't guarantee this will happen all the time. So it was pretty much the first break of the Asian range, especially on the 15 minute. Also, you had at the point of entry, it was actually in the Asian range, so that's a big knock. And then also, what I didn't like about this was the higher time frames. So let me just change the view on this for you. Okay, so it was a support level, I think I see. Okay. Yeah, so this was a support level that I actually marked up last week, and obviously before I took this as an entry, I didn't know whether this hourly candle would sort of break past this support level, and even still, that shift candle didn't necessarily break full through the support level, where I was quite confident with that. I think looking on the half hour, it looked promising. Oh no, even still, it was it literally just closed on the support level that I marked up. So even still, I wouldn't be too confident for that to come lower. I'd be looking for that to break completely. So I think that's why I had it as a C setup, and that's why I didn't really want to get involved, just because of the support level and how strong it was. I understand completely why people have got involved with that, and I'm quite glad that I ended up trading Euro AUD instead, just because even though it was a C setup as well, I didn't mind the reasons why that was a C setup. I thought this was a lot more risky. And then obviously, if you wanted to take it as an A1, which is on the 15-minute, I won't put the 1 minute on just to confuse you guys anymore. Yeah, so it's a lot to sort of get your head around the D1. There's a lot to it. You've got your divergence, you've got movement on the 1 minute, you've got tests of significant EMAs. You've got to have the L50 in the correct zone as well in the 1 minute. So it's either in the buy zone, obviously, if you're going long, and then in the sell zone if you're going short. Okay, so even here with this one, it has just broken that support region. So it could be a case of this could break and come back higher. But usually a break of a significant level is a positive. It could potentially come lower because it's broken that structure anyway. So it could have just literally been a break of structure and continued lower, which it did. And it was just the overextended candle. So it's literally the largest candle of the day. If you count just those candles, it's bigger than the initial candle that would have been part of the 1 minute entry there on the D1. It has broken the Asian range, which is good. That is a positive. Obviously, like I said, price, it was the first break in the Asian range. Price tested the waters and came back higher, which it usually does at the first break of the Asian range. But again, for me, ADR's probably moved with it being 6 o'clock in the evening now for me. But just going off live market conditions at the moment, there's no risk reward. Just about 1.93R, just about to ADR, and you'd be looking at a minimum of 2R easily. And because it was such an overextended candle, it's chopped around a little bit, because that's what usually happens, because there's been such significant move within 15 minutes. It takes a lot for the market to shake a little bit more. So it just has a build-up of all these buyers and sellers at this region. And then obviously it'll pull lower. But like I said there, even that shift candle there, it's just not enough risk reward for you to gain 2R out of that as a minimum. And that's what you'd be looking for if you want to be profitable. Euro NTD didn't actually show anything for me either. But yeah, Euro AUD, this is the one that I actually traded today. See if I've got any questions. Do you trade gold? I do trade gold. I do. Before I get into Euro AUD, I might actually cover gold, because I've not actually had a look at gold today because I've been so busy with the other pairs. Let's have a look. But yeah, it's good to see people getting involved as well. Ask away. I'd be more than happy to help, guys. So gold isn't even really within trend today. It was at the start of the day, up until early morning, so up until about 6:30 when it got to the stationary 50, which is this region when it's within the buy zone and the sell zone, so it's a little bit unsure. So it doesn't actually have a bias at this point. As you can see, the candles are showing that as well. So it's just a little conjunction there of just candles. Comes lower a little bit and then just comes drastically lower, and that's probably... Is it in response to any news at all? Let's have a look. I mean, there wasn't a significant amount of news until 3 p.m. BST for me, so it wasn't up until this point, and then obviously price came higher, so it couldn't be, wouldn't be that sort of high impact news that was launched today. But yeah, it was just completely out of trend. As you can see, it just price completely came lower. It's tested the 800 EMA, so as you can see how significant these sort of areas are. It's come straight to the 800 EMA. So if you wanted to take this as a D2, you could have done. So if you want to do like a counter trend opportunity, a D2 would be valid. However, there isn't actually any divergence in favor, so I can't see any bearish divergence on gold today, so there's no reason for it to come lower. Going off just technicals there, so yeah, there'd be no bearish divergence, so we wouldn't be able to class it as a D2, but if it was there, then you could potentially look at a D2 to the 800 EMA. However, again, the risk reward's only 1.39R, which isn't much, so again, there's no risk reward to that at all. So, I mean, I don't know if there'd be something on the 1 minute that we could look at. Let me see if I can bring up the 1 minute. Sometimes on the 15 minute, on the half hour, on the 4 hour, on the daily, you can be looking forever for divergence and you can't find it. And then on the 1 minute, it just appears out of nowhere. Let's have a look. Small bit of divergence here. Yeah, this is probably the more significant one. So as you can see, price is coming higher on price action, and then the CDI is coming lower. So the bearish divergence is there. Sometimes bearish divergence can be too early. So say, for instance, the bearish divergence finished here. It's come lower and you enter here. The divergence would be too soon for the market to react so quickly to that. So that wouldn't be a valid entry. Just after the divergence, you need the divergence to set for it to actually make a difference. So I wouldn't count it off that 50 EMA, especially with the L50 being near the stationary and in the buy zone as well, just about. But yeah, somewhere around this region is where I potentially look at an entry if I was wanting to get involved. But even still, the movement there is quite weak. There isn't a strong shift. The strong shift is here. So maybe just after the strong shift, making sure that the liquid 50 is in the buy zone. It does obviously creep over to the stationary 50, which is fine if you already are within the trade. But yeah, just put my stop loss above previous high. And then as you can see, you could have took advantage of the D2. So just moving against the EMAs, going against the trend in a way, and getting risk reward to 800 EMA this way, rather than taking it on the A1 approach on the 15 minute. So obviously you can get up to 4.23R with the 1 minute. So this is called a counter trend D1. In comparison to you trading off the 15 minute there, where we couldn't even get a risk reward to 2R. So obviously you can see how the two different sort of trades work very differently. And just to let you guys know how long it would take to be in and out of this trade, it's not even an hour. You'd make 4% in 50 minutes. So it's an incredible system. However, you just need to stick to your rules and be really precise with your entries and your trades. You need to make sure that you're getting the best risk reward you can do, and don't be too tight with your stop losses. That's what I've learned, because with the 1 minute it moves so much, so it can stop you out, and the spreads on the 1 minute are also a lot larger as well sometimes. When you are scalping, it can be difficult if you're funded with companies as well, such as my Forex funds or FTMO or funded talent. Their spreads sometimes can be through the roof. So when you are trying to trade, it can be difficult to get a decent risk reward. So just make sure that the spreads are in your favor as well. Someone asked, what time frame will be good to trade on gold? Obviously I've just shown you the D2 opportunity that was involved with gold. I would probably either trade the 1 minute or the 15 minute, but with gold and the 1 minute, obviously it sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, but I think if you know what you're doing, you'll be able to succeed. I think we've got people on the live stream anyway, like Todd, that might look into gold on the 1 minute or the 5 minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. Funding talent has had an issue now. Have you heard? Yeah, I've heard about the funding talent situation. Yeah, it's not good. It's not looking pretty, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that anyway. Won't say too much about them. They're quite irrelevant. So I just want to move on to obviously to Eurogbp now. I've discussed the options with gold and the opportunity of coming short there. So I just want to proceed with what I've been involved with as well, because that's the most important.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to today's stream. I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to follow today's guest, by the way, on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to A1 Trading here on YouTube for more market coverage, trade ideas, and special guests. Our streams are made possible thanks to our sponsors, all of which can be found down below in the description. If you're looking for a new broker, consider checking out the links down below. We've partnered with a few brokers that we think you should check out. By signing up with one of these brokers, our company will receive a small affiliate commission, which does help us stay here on the air creating free stuff for you guys. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you back in the next one.